Miami. Okay, I want to show you what Hunter Yurachek, the CFP chair, had to say about this on ESPN after this bracket was announced. Quote, once we moved Miami ahead of BYU, we had that side-by-side comparison that everyone had been hungering for with Notre Dame and Miami. You look at those two teams on paper, and they're almost equal in their schedule strength. They're common opponents, the results against common opponents. But the one metric we had to fall back on again was head-to-head. He also said that he asked everyone to go back and rewatch the Week 1 game. How on earth does this suddenly change? You could have done this at any point in the last month. All of the things that he said about how similar their resumes were valid on Tuesday.
Yes.
They were valid the previous Tuesday.
Yes.
They were valid the week before. This is insane to do this on the 11th hour and for Notre Dame to have the rug pulled out from under them like this after every other rankings they have been ahead of Miami.
I'm going to tell you the real frustrating thing about it is, to your point, they waited almost, they're running the clock out, right, to try to get to this point. To me, that feels like soft behavior from the committee, but that's perfectly fine if they want to do that. The thing that is killing me is they put BYU in there as the buffer. They kept putting a buffer in there so the teams weren't back-to-back. So what you're saying to me is Miami is worse than Notre Dame with BYU in front of them, but now with Miami and Notre Dame back-to-back, Miami's a better football team. It's the only reason why, because that's how we got here. And that, to me, is a pure level of stupidity that I will never be able to understand. Like, the buffer was their cop-out the whole time. They couldn't do it anymore. They finally had to make a decision, and they completely flip-flopped from what they had been telling us all year. And I don't like how they set up these rankings to be able to justify the things that they're doing, and then they lost their justification and said, all right, screw it, we'll just flip it around now.
Well, and think about this. They could have used Alabama as a buffer. So they could have had Alabama drop one spot and then keep Notre Dame ahead of them and have the buffer and not use the head-to-head. But we heard this stat. Chris Budden said this on the selection show, that in every previous final rankings, if there was a head-to-head result, the team that won the game was always ranked ahead of the team that they beat, except for Miami and Notre Dame previously. So they did flip it in the way that there had been precedent. They could have done it at any other time.
Yes.
That's the part that makes no sense here, because neither of these teams played this weekend.
We learned nothing new about either one of them this week.
Absolutely nothing. And the idea that you can only use a head-to-head result when they're next to each other in a ranking is crazy.
Don't they compare them in buckets?
Yes,
right?
They're supposed to. And they have said that
so
they have been in
BYU was
the
the top of that bucket then if they're using them as a buffer, but that's not what they said.
Hunter Yurachek, the chair, last week said that Notre Dame, BYU, Miami, and Alabama have all been compared against each other.
Have they?
That's what he said. And then,
I'm asking though.
And then he said that the head-to-head result between Miami and Notre Dame was not like the deciding factor.
Well, clearly it is, Hunter.
But I don't understand why you would say, no, these teams are definitely different when there's one team between you, and then now they're back-to-back. Oh, my God.
With no new information.
No new information. Now we have to use something from 3 months ago. You could have been doing that all along, would have saved everyone a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of, politicking.
Yes.
And everyone would have been fine with that if they just had done it from the start.
It's real. I'm just the final few teams that we're discussing, there's a large level of frustration for me. I saw a stat that Alabama now is the first team that's gotten in after being blown out twice in a season.
Usually the way that you lose.
In the last week. And it's supposed to matter.
I know. But usually, again, that's why they say, we watch all the games.
Do you?
There's coaches in the room giving us input.
Didn't they use a stat one week that said that they didn't like the way somebody ran the football, or they liked the way somebody, and then Alabama had -3 rushing yards in the game? This is the problem that I have. You can pick every single week, you can pick a stupid soundbite that they use, and then you can flip it around and be like, oh, but you said it one way and it doesn't apply the other. What are we doing?
Literally, off of these final rankings, BYU dropped.
Oh, my God.
With almost the exact same margin of defeat that Alabama did, and they stayed exactly put.
It's hard to trust the sport. It is a sport I love, and it's hard to defend it when these are the actions of the people that are in charge of creating the postseason. The further we get along in this and the more that we do this, I think it's going to become more difficult for college football fans to feel like they can enjoy this aspect of the sport which, by the way, a lot of people would say is the most important aspect because we're all chasing championships here.